Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Uh, the whole idea of this channel, I've been in the pet food industry for 34 years. I just retired. I was a veterinary rep for Hills Pet Nutrition. So I know for some of you that's like, oh no, Hills. But if you check out some of my videos, my main purpose is try to help you get through all the marketing and all the hype and all that, and actually make informed decisions about your pet's nutritional needs. And I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm not representing anybody. It's just everything I've learned being in vet clinics every day, day in and day out for 34 years, and being trained by some of the top board certified nutritionists in the country, if not the world. So yes, I'm very biased towards science and clinical evidence. And you know, the big thing is if you watch my videos, and we call ourselves the Nutrition Mission. Our mission is to take the discussion of pet food and get it back to talking about nutrients and not ingredients. If you're a pet parent and you're checking out this channel, you've probably been inundated by folks that I call ingredientists. They're people that don't know anything about nutrition. They just look at ingredients. They talk about ingredients, they compare ingredients, and they miss the whole point of nutrition. And that's the mission of this channel. And there's a lot of great folks on here that leave great comments and educate me half the time. So welcome. And if you're part of my nutrition mission, folks, I really do appreciate you. So Renee watched a bunch of my videos. She's a new, I think she's a subscriber, but she had requested that I do Zignature, the brand that's pretty popular out there, and I hadn't done that one. And then she sent me another comment and said, hey, they're WasAVA compliant, so you really need to do some research on them. So this is for Renee and all of you that are interested in Zignature. And the more important point at the end of this video is, what about WasAVA? What's going to happen to those guidelines? Is it going to become, like many things, just totally irrelevant? Already Farmer's Dog is saying that they're WasAVA compliant. Now you have Zignature. There's going to be others. Are they really? So let's take a look at that and see what you think. So welcome, and let's get started. So here we go. Here's a bag of Zignatures. This is their turkey formula. They just make dog food. They don't make cat food. But they're right on the bag. It says exceeding expectations in pet nutrition. So there you go. So I always like, I mean, you guys know, I always get show me the nutrients. That's bottom line. That's what's going to affect our dogs and cats' health, is the nutrients. But the marketing is important because it tells us whether or not we really should trust that company or not, right? I mean, it's, if you have somebody that's telling you nothing but lies, do you really trust them when something important comes up? That's kind of how I see it. So I do like looking at websites. So I went through, and again, one thing that popped up was, here you go, Zignature is WasAVA guidelines compliant, which we'll talk about at the end. So just hold on to that thought. But they get into the meat of their philosophy, and no pun intended, but it's meat, okay? Ooh, big surprise, right? So here we go. One of the pages in their website, globally sourced meat first. All Zignature recipes are based on a meat first philosophy because dogs are carnivores and require high quality animal protein to thrive. They don't make cat food. If they did, they would be accurate, but dogs are not carnivores. So right there, scratch, check number one. Okay, demerit number one. Maybe I should have a scoreboard. You know how Dr. Ray, I know all of you that know me, you love Dr. Ray. So whenever you compliment my channel, you always end Dr. Ray. So, and that's fine. I don't mind that at all. She's awesome. She was my inspiration to start my channel. So, but she has her score. She's a very positive person. I'm more of a negative person. So she has her scoring system of all the good things in a food. Maybe I should have a negative one that actually shows you all the things I don't like to see. One is, you start talking carnivore, I really am not impressed right away. So anyway, dogs are not carnivores, but let's keep going. This is important. The first listed ingredient in any pet food is vitally important because there's more of that ingredient than any other. Okay, that is not true. You guys, if you're not familiar, you got to go back and watch some of my videos on ingredient panels. They go by weight, not by volume. So these pet food manufacturers can manipulate the ingredient panel to have attractive ingredients up front and less attractive ingredients further down. Has nothing to do with the most of that ingredient. Egg product, which is a awesome protein source, is like powder. Okay, it's very light. You could use a lot of it. It's still going to be further down the ingredient panel. If I use meat, real meat, whether it's horrible meat or human grade meat, it's mostly water. It's going to shoot right to the front of the ingredient panel. So the fact they're saying this, scratch number two. I don't like using that, manipulating the ingredient panel and making it. I understand ingredient panel manipulation. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. But promoting it, that bothers me. Okay. Um, and then it's funny, not only is meat the first ingredient in our recipes, but we also include meat or fish meal as a second ingredient. Now, they say this later on in the website. I probably won't include it just for time. But again, they say not only do we use fresh meat, we then back it up with meat meal to make sure you're getting enough protein. And it's really interesting because every now and then they say something truthful. The meat meal just means dried, it's in a powder form, and it's packed with much more protein than fresh meat because fresh meat is mostly water weight. Okay, so it's interesting. It's an industry trick that they're or secret that they're kind of letting out in this comment. Most people would miss it, but the meat meal is there. It is there to back up the fresh meat because the fresh meat's not going to be enough protein. That's really interesting that they're letting that secret out, trying to make it sound good that they have fresh meat meat meal. Of course, you guys have heard from other food companies, meat meal's terrible. It's not digestible. It's nothing but garbage. You just want fresh meat. Again, it's all marketing, guys. It's all marketing. It's so exhausting. This to many well-known pet foods that use high starch carbohydrate fillers as their first or second ingredient. That would be like corn, soy, things like that. So there's number three when they talk about fillers. The minute they use the word fillers, I know we're going to get a bunch of BS from this manufacturer. Um, they Dr. Quest is the veterinarian they talk about. Now I'll share his credentials in a minute, but they talk about Dr. Quest. He does their Q&A on the website. I looked up Dr. Quest with Zignature, and I can't find anything except Johnny Quest, a cartoon character from the 60s. So uh, I'll tell you what I know about Dr. Quest according to their website. But this is what Dr. Quest says about protein. By changing up the different types of proteins in your pet's diet with a systematic approach, you can help improve your pet's overall health. This is because different proteins can offer different amino acid profiles. Definitely true that different proteins offer different amino acid profiles. Nothing false about that. But the fact that you have to rotate and keep changing them, no, that's just not true. Okay, that they make a bunch of different protein sources to get you to buy a bunch of different, salmon and then do turkey and then do kangaroo and all that. Actually, that's a negative thing to do. We can combine soy, corn, egg product, meat, whatever, and come up with the total essential amino acid profile your pet needs. You don't have to keep changing it all the time. And God forbid you have a dog that is going to develop food allergies. You've now introduced him to all these different protein sources, which puts him at a really big disadvantage of dealing with food allergies. That's totally different from what you'll hear from the ingredientists out there that'll tell you you should be feeding all these different forms that it's going to prevent a food allergy. It's actually the opposite. And that's not Glenn from the Pet Food Puzzle Guy saying that. That's the dermatology experts out there, the derm veterinarians that know what they're talking about. So Dr. Quest is not very impressive to me at this point. This is another truth that they put in their website that I actually agree with. Similar to humans, if a dog gets all the proper proteins, carbohydrates, and essential vitamins and minerals from their food, they should be happy and full of energy. Zignature supplements all of its formulas with our vitamin and mineral pack that is designed exclusively for Pets Global in a European plant to make your pup's food highly nutritional, complete, and balanced. So, a couple things here. What they're saying is if you want a completely balanced diet, you've got to have vitamins and mineral supplements. You're not going to be able to control all the different intricate relationships, interrelationships between those minerals and vitamins just by feeding whole ingredients. You just can't do it. And I actually have a video on minerals where you'll see the interaction. It's amazing, the balance, calcium, zinc, all these different nutrients that have to be balanced. And that's what a vitamin mineral package is used in diets. And I'm all 100% for that. Oh, but that's synthetic. They're not absorbable. BS. That's all been tested at the end result, and it's much more balanced than just feeding so-called whole, fresh ingredients. So I will agree that they're good with that. So who is this Dr. Quest that they're talking about here? Dr. Quest is a DVM. He has over 11 years of experience in clinical veterinary practice, 11 years, and 15 years of experience in the pet food industry. They don't go on to say what he did in what brand of pet food or anything like that. And the interesting thing is, when I look at his schooling, he graduated from the University of Missouri with a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree and has been working in the pet food industry, developing new products, contributing to nutrition formulation, and doing clinical studies since 2004. The problem I have with that is he's doing all this stuff. There's no credentials as far as he's not a board certified nutritionist. It doesn't even list that he has certificates or training in nutrition. He's just a veterinarian. No offense to you veterinarians, but you guys know you're not experts when it comes to nutrition. All your critics know that. Veterinarians don't know anything about nutrition. That's okay, because there are nutritionists that do, and they're the ones that provide you with the diets to use. So that's why we know you trust these therapeutic diets, even if you don't totally understand them. You don't have to be a nutritionist. But this guy has no credentials whatsoever. So that's a little weird. So okay, so let's go ahead and get into show me the nutrients, right? That's my mantra. That if I ever come out with T-shirts, my first T-shirt's going to be "Show me the nutrients." You can talk all you want about ingredients and all this other stuff and convenience, delivery, everything you want to talk about. What matters to the health of your pet is the nutrients being delivered. That's what nutrition is, and don't buy into these ingredientists that are just, well, corn isn't as good as meat and this is that, and it has, they're wasting your time. They're just trying to sell you something, and they may be sincere, but they're sincerely wrong. So just ignore those folks. Watch my videos and you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, let's look at the guaranteed analysis. These folks would not provide me a dry weight analysis or milligrams per 100 kcals. They only had the guaranteed analysis. So all it is minimums and maximums. Again, if you're new to my channel, I have a video on the guaranteed analysis and what it does not tell you. You really should go check that out, because really it doesn't tell you much. Okay, these are, if you look at this one, it's just telling you the minimum amount of protein, the minimum amount of fat. If we look at calcium and phosphorus, key nutrients that really matter, the excess mineral content is can be deadly for your pet, especially as they get older. Kidney disease, urinary stones, all kinds of things. So, and as Dr. Ray always says, it's the most difficult thing for a food company to do, to control those minerals. And so that's why it tells you the quality of a food company and their intent just by looking at their calcium and phosphorus and sodium levels. So we're looking at the guaranteed analysis here. And the protein, it says the minimum is 28%. Keep that in mind, okay? It could be higher, right? Look at the calcium and phosphorus. Calcium is 1.2% minimum. Phosphorus is 1%. So I called the company. They had an 800 number. The gal I talked with was very nice. And I said, I just want to get the dry weight percentage for, let's just do turkey. They don't even have a chicken formula, just the real exotic proteins. That's kind of their shtick. So I said, well, let's do turkey. That's kind of a poultry, it's like chicken, right? Kind of. And so anyway, she said, great. She had no PDFs or anything to send me, but she said she would email me. And it took about 2 days, but I did get the numbers from her. So kudos to them for that. But really telling, this is interesting. When I tell you the guaranteed analysis doesn't tell you much, holy cow, this example is an extreme example. The protein was what, 28% on the bag, right? It's 38.4% in actual nutrient levels. Okay. Again, if you're new, dry weight analysis, we're removing the moisture from the food so we can get an accurate amount, the percentage of all the different nutrients. And that would work if I'm comparing other diets that have different moisture levels. So it's really important to do dry weight analysis. And these are actual versus minimum. So much higher in protein than we thought, much higher than the optimal range, which is like, was it 15 to 30%? So this is 38%. So we're getting above what the adults should be getting. So let's take a look at the calcium and phosphorus in the guaranteed analysis that's on the bag of the turkey formula. It says that the calcium minimum is 1.2%. If you know the small animal clinical nutrition, that the optimal range goes as high as 1%. So already at 1.2, it's over. But in reality, when you look at the dry weight analysis, it's actually 2.1%. That's amazing to be saying here's the minimum 1%, or 1.2%, and to actually have almost double. That's pretty surprising. I've never seen that, to be honest. And then if we look at phosphorus, they told us a minimum of 1%. If we look at small animal clinical nutrition, the optimal range is zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.8. That's the highest, zero point 0.8. So I didn't like that the phosphorus minimum is 1% already. But when you look at reality in the dry matter basis, it's 1.33%. So what do we find? The protein levels too high, and the calcium and phosphorus, which is really key to understand the quality and the precision of the diet as far as affecting the health of the animal. They're way excessive here. So I'm not too thrilled with the nutrient levels of this food. And the one thing I didn't want to tell you, to be a spoiler alert in the beginning, but I'll tell it to you now. Guess what? Every one of Zignature foods are what? All life stage. Okay. So what it's, let me see if I could find find where it says. Yeah, here's just an example. This is their lamb and rice, or lamb formula, but I checked all the other ones, said the same thing. It meets the nutritional levels established by the AFCO nutrient profiles for all life stages. Okay, what does that mean? Again, if you're new, and if you're not, please bear with me. Just be patient here. But all life stages means that the food has to meet all the required nutrients for all life stages, including puppyhood. And puppyhood is very demanding, right? That all the nutrients needed for growth are extremely high. And then when they become an adult, we don't want to keep feeding those high levels because it can contribute to different diseases. It doesn't cause them, but if they're prone to those diseases, just like me at almost 65 now, I should be watching my sodium and things like that. Doesn't mean salt is bad. It just means I should be watching excesses. Same is true with your dog as they hit 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of age, depending on their size, right? So all their foods are all life stage, which makes sense. We just looked at the nutrient levels; they're all too high. Okay, they're not optimal levels for an adult dog. So right away, if I always look for that first. I see that, I'm done. I don't need to look further. But I wanted to show you the nutrient levels that you could see. This is why all life stage foods are not recommended. But the best is Dr. Quest himself actually in the Q&A talks about, one of the questions is, what is an all life stage food? Let me show you what he writes. And this is what I've been saying all the time, and people disagree with me, or that I'm just trying to sell hills or whatever. But listen to this. From a regulatory perspective and formula perspective, whatever that means, I'm just looking at a nutritional perspective. A dog food that is labeled for all life stages would have to meet the requirements for a growth/puppy food. They have to meet those requirements, which means what? It is a puppy food. He's saying it, and he's right. Typically, growth diets contain more protein, fat, and certain minerals than adult maintenance diet. Yes, they should, and they clearly do. So if and the next line, please. This isn't me. This is Doctor, this mysterious doctor here. Calcium, phosphorus. We just mentioned those. Iron, copper, manganese, and zinc are all higher in a growth or all life stage diet compared to an adult maintenance diet. Yeah, he's absolutely right. Then why the heck are all these food companies out there? Farmer's Dog, Ollie, Nom Nom, these guys, just about everybody, especially all the home delivery ones, that are so fancy and have your dog's name on the bag and all this other stuff. They're all life stage foods. They are all providing your dog excess levels of nutrients that, I'm not going to say it causes kidney disease or it causes urinary stones, but if you're one of the unlucky pet parents that has a dog that's going to be affected by those conditions, you just worsen them by feeding that food. Why? Why would you feed all those excess levels to your adult dog knowing the dangers of the age related diseases that those excess minerals can affect? That's why I'm here, folks. Show me the nutrients. Okay, so what about WasAVA and the idea that they're compliant? Farmer's Dog is saying the same thing, and they're not. They're just saying they are. And I knew this was going to happen because here's the 5 questions, and go to WasAVA, WSAVA. I'll sure I'll put it up there somewhere. You can go learn all about them. They're basically a group of credentialed veterinarians and specialists that they come together. It's a global initiative, and they try to figure out best protocols and best standards for everything from dentistry to pain management to nutrition to all kinds of anything to do with veterinarians, even veterinarian mental health and stuff like that. I mean, it's a great idea, and they came up with guidelines for. Let me just read what's on their website here. Not WasAVA. This is Zignature's website. WasAVA guidelines relate primarily to veterinarians and the one-on-one evaluations. In other words, this is your vet talking to you in the vet clinic. WasAVA provides recommendations / recommended questions for pet parents when it comes to selecting the best pet food for their pet. We have shared answers for those recommended questions below. So here's the 5 questions. I'm going to go through this pretty quick, but I just want to show you how WasAVA, the great idea, but it's now going to be corrupted and used and abused, and it's going to mean nothing in a very short time. Do you employ a full-time qualified nutritionist? Appropriate qualifications, and you can see all that up there. So what do they say? Our products are formulated under the guidance of a PhD animal nutritionist, who we don't know who that is because Dr. Quest is not a PhD nutritionist, and reviewed thoroughly by our cooperating team of veterinarians. Okay, but I thought veterinarians don't know anything about nutrition, so I'm not sure why they're there. We contract a full-time PhD animal nutritionist, as well as a professional team of several food scientists, organic chemists, regulatory experts, and doctors of veterinary medicine. So here you go. Throw all that stuff together, but they're still not answering the question, do you have a full-time board-certified nutritionist working at your company in your lab, formulating and working on different things in nutritionally? They don't. So when you compare that answer there to Hills, Royal Canin, or Purina, that have multiple, not just one, but board certified nutritionists that are actually doing not research just on their own diets, but research with universities and on different topics like microbiome or renal disease or all this other stuff, there's a big difference there. But now you're going to have we have a contract with Dr. Jones, who's a PhD nutritionist. She looked at our formula and said it looks good. Okay, that's not the same thing, but that's what you're going to start seeing now. Farmer's Dog, same way. Are your diets tested using AFCO feeding trials or formulated? All our diets are tested by both nutrient profiles, by formulation, and by analysis of the finished product. Now that is important. Okay, that really is bottom line. Show me, the finished product to know if it's good or not. Our complete and balanced diet pet food products meet AFCO nutritional requirements, and they do, because AFCO is pathetic. Okay, we just looked at the numbers, and the optimal numbers I showed you was Small Animal Clinical Nutrition, the textbook. It was not. AFCO is just very vague. They really are just interested in minimums. Make sure you reach the minimum, but they really have no clue about maximums or imbalances, anything like that. Again, have they done AFCO feeding trials? In another part in their website, they say they're actually going to do that. They're going to do AFCO feeding trials. But up to this point, They have not. They're basically saying, hey, we test the food when it's finished, and I'm actually okay with that. Feeding trials, I think, are going to become a thing of the past. Um, Hills, Purina, Royal Canin, most of their diets are all done through feeding trials, but they're very expensive. They're hard to do, and I think we're going to see companies just getting away from that, whether we like that or not. So, but as far as WasAVA standards, that's one of the standards, and they're already, oh, we're compliant because we looked at the nutrient levels and where are your foods produced and manufactured. Part of WasAVA guidelines is that a food company that makes their own food in their own plants, they have total control of quality control. You know, their nutritionists are involved, blah blah blah. That just makes sense, and it does. Okay, doesn't mean they aren't going to have recalls and stuff like that, but they're on it much better than if you're co-packing somewhere else with a separate company, and they do co-packing. These guys do not make their own food. That says our dry recipes are manufactured with our partners. Partner, it's a good word, but it's a different company that's producing the food. Barrett Pet Food Innovations in Brainerd, Minnesota, and Tuffy's Pet Food in Perham, Minnesota. Our canned formulas are manufactured with our partners at Performance Pet Products in Mitchell, South Dakota. So, again, WasAVA, really the standard is that it's made in your own plant. That's the best. They're not doing that, but yet they still claim to be WasAVA compliant. What specific quality control measures do you use to assure the consistency and quality of your ingredients and the end product? They go through very thoroughly here and explain all the things they do. I'm going to trust that they do all this stuff here, so there's no reason to doubt that. Will you provide a complete nutrient analysis for the dog and cat in question? And it goes into, will you do it in dry matter or uh, grams per 100 kcals, all this other stuff. And they say, yes, we can provide a complete nutrient analysis for our product. And they did. It took me almost 2 days to get it, but they did. Should they have it on their website so everybody could just go there and quickly see it? Absolutely. That's what I wish that was a rule, but it's not. What kind of product research has been conducted? Are the results published in peer-reviewed journals? Um, this is kind of unfair because they're just not set up to. They're not doing research. They say extensive research is done on our products, and our research is proprietary. Yeah, I understand why it's proprietary. That's the opposite of a peer-reviewed journal published study. Okay, it's like, then we just keep it to ourselves. We conduct years of research and testing on all our products. Well, it's not really talking about testing. It's talking about research. Again, palatability trials, stool quality tests, all that. That's not the same. And again, to be fair, they just can't measure up to the research being done at Hills, the research being done at Royal Canin, and at Purina. I'm sorry, you can't. They have multiple board certified nutritionists. They have the money to have the facility and the research, uh, apparatuses, everything they need, and thank God they do, because they come out with great diets and a lot of innovation in the microbiome, in renal disease, all that kind of stuff. There's no way little Signature or Pets Global is going to achieve that, but that is a WasAVA um, thing to look at, and they're trying to say that they do it. So are they compliant with WasAVA? No, they're not, but they're going to say they are. Farmer's Dog says it now. You're going to start seeing all these food companies saying it, and it's really sad that the whole that label WasAVA now will mean absolutely nothing. So hey guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking with me. And the next video I think is going to be on the term complete and balanced. What does that really mean? Is it marketing? Is it science? What is it? And hopefully that'll be helpful for you as well. So you all take care. Hope things are going well. Again, appreciate the comments and all the encouragement. You guys are awesome. Take care.